Today we're going to talk about reflections in the plane. So a reflection is just like a mirror. It looks back at you, but it's been flipped. So when you see the word reflection, you want to think of a flip. And here's the more mathematical definition. Is a figure or a point, it doesn't necessarily have to be a figure or a polygon, is reflected or flipped across a line, creating a mirrored image. It creates a mirrored image. And when we have a reflection over the x-axis, there's a nice little rule to help you remember it, but you don't have to. So if we think about just an x and y axis, okay, if I have a point somewhere on there, so let's say I have a point right about here, and I want to reflect it across the x-axis, then this will end up down here. So notice it still keeps its same distance or same x value, but the height is what changes. Instead of it going up, let's say 2, now it went down 2. So when you reflect over the x-axis, your rule that you can remember is x, y, just like what we did yesterday, becomes x, remains the same, but now our y value changes sign, or negative y. So basically this is saying your x coordinate remains the same, and your y changes sign. Same idea if you have a reflection over your y-axis. So if you're working with your y-axis, if I had a point somewhere about here, and I want to reflect that across my y-axis, it's going to end up over here. Still the same height, but now instead of going to the right 2 units, you go to the left. So your x value changes sign. So your rule for this is xy. You change the sign of your x, so negative x, and your y remains the same. Or your y coordinate remains the same, and your x coordinate changes sign. Okay, so now looking down at example 1, we want to reflect this figure or this triangle across the x-axis. So think about the distance away from the x-axis. So right now, this is up 1 box, or in this case 2 units for the scale. I'm just going to think about boxes in general. I went up 1, so instead of up 1, I'm going to go down 1 from the line that you are reflecting across. So instead of up 1 from here, A prime will now be down here. Same idea for C. Instead of up 1.5, I'm going to go down 1.5. Should have been a little bit lower. It's hard to draw it. And then letter B. Instead of going up 1, 2.5, we're going to go down 1, 2.5. You can look at the scale to help you, but when you have a graph like this, it's nice and easy. You can just think about distances. Okay, so it should remain the same shape and same size. Mine's a little bit off. It's poorly drawn. Same idea with your y-axis. So you're reflecting over your y, so now you're thinking left to right, whereas this we thought up to down. So point D is right here, about 1 unit over. keep the same height, so this becomes D prime. E, same thing. G was only about half of the way. So I'm going to have about half a unit there for G prime. And then F prime. So it should look something like that. Okay, now moving on to example 3. Now we're going to be reflecting across the line x equals 2. So x equals 2 is a straight line up and down through x equals 2. So right here is where we're going to be highlighting. We'll try with this one. Okay, so we're reflecting across this line. So now let's go ahead and do that. M is 1 to the right from this line. So instead of 1 to the right, I'm going to go 1 to the left. This is new M prime. L from this line is 1, 2 to the left. So instead of 2 to the left, I'm going to go 2 to the right. That becomes L prime. Same idea. N is 1 to the right. So instead of 1 to the right, I'm going to go 1 to the left. And P is 2 to the left, so now to go 2 to the right. So it's okay if they overlap. But it should look something, there it goes, like that. So number 4, y equals -3. That's a horizontal line at -3. So we're going to be reflecting, let me renew that one, across the line right here. Try and make a nice straight line, especially if you are using paper. They get much better. All right, because we have it cut like this, we want to think up and down. So think about the distance. T is directly on that line, so T prime is going to remain there. Then think about your distance away from this line. R is up 1 from the line, so instead of up 1, we'll go down 1, and that'll be R prime. S is up 1, 2, 3, 4, so instead we'll go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's S prime. So we'll have something that looks like this. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do letter B. You need to plot your points first. Then you also need to find the image. Okay, so this is the pre-image, the before. The image is the after. And you're reflecting across the y-axis. So remember, the y will remain the same. The x will change sign. This is just those rules again. And letter A down here. We want to use those rules again to reflect this triangle. So first start by plotting that pre-image or that triangle, and then follow the rule of reflecting it across the x-axis, so like this, and find the new figure or the image. Once you're done with this, then you need to work on your delta math. Have a good day.